How to Lift Nigeria Out of Poverty is a book authored by Ikechukwu Obiorah and forwarded by Professor Babagana Zulum, Governor of Borno State. The book, with 327 pages by the former senator who represented Anambra State, portrayed in his book, especially in Chapter 2, that corruption is the single most potent driver of poverty in Nigeria, costing the nation over $600 billion in direct losses and trillions of dollars in indirect losses since Nigeria's independence. According to the author, we must retool and recalibrate the investigative, prosecutorial, and enforcement structures of the anti-corruption agencies of the federal government, including the Department of Public Prosecutions of the Federal Ministry of Justice, in a manner that strengthens their capacity, makes them truly independent, and inspires the confidence of Nigerians and the international community. The compelling force of Obiorah's book is the author's powerful but simple logic that the only way to lift Nigeria out of poverty is by lifting the poor and vulnerable populations out of poverty in a sustainable manner. Joining us now from Abuja is the author of How to Lift Nigeria Out of Poverty, Senator Ikechukwu Obiorah, former senator who represented Anambra South Senatorial District at the National Assembly. Good morning, Senator. Thank you for joining us.
Good morning, guys.
Good morning, Senator. Well, let's start with Chapter 2 of your book, where you talked about corruption and possible antidotes. Those your recommendations. They appear to me like the same route that the Nigerian government are taking, and those measures didn't quite work, some people say. Could you take us through some of those your recommendations and how you think those same measures can be better applied to serve the purpose of reducing the drain on public resources?
Thank you, Ruben. First of all, thank you for having me on your show. I must point out at the outset that I'm not speaking here as an anti-corruption crusader, because all of us are sinners. I'm only speaking and leveraging this knowledge that all of us are not worthy, and then to use that to work out this program, an anti-corruption plan that does not anticipate angels among us. In fact, I'm reminded by James Madison's cliche that if all men were angels, then there would be no need for a government. And if angels were to govern men, then there will be no need for controls in government. So that means that all of us are found wanting, and that is the driving force of my plan, where we are all sinners plan. I disagree with you that my program, the plan which I've put forward, is the same thing that has been tried and tried over and again. No, because the essential ingredient in my plan is the independence of anti-corruption agencies, total independence, if you might say, where the president has lost the power of appointing any person to the office of EFCC, ICPC, Code of Conduct Bureau, and all have you. The president will no longer have the power to do that. Membership of these organizations will be by ex officio. That is, the prescribed organizations that have been listed, like the Bar Association, will elect one person. ICANN will elect one person to this organization. Academic Staff Union of Nigerian Universities will elect one person. Academic Staff Union of Nigerian Polytechnics will elect one person. Nigerian Union of Journalists will elect one person. Labour Congress will elect one person. Then the United Nations, under a treaty with Nigeria, will nominate 6 persons. That will be the commission. And there is now a check and balance within the system. You do not have executive chairman. You have a 2-level power control. The very first one will be a part-time supervisory control, which is the members of the commission. And then what you used to have as executive chairman will become a director general. And it is the commission or the board that will do a human resources process and then hire the Director General, not the President. So you can see that from day one, these people are completely independent of any political influence. And they will be able to go out, the way they chase the president will be the same way to chase any other person. Of course, I do not subscribe to the notion that even though we are all sinners, that the blame apportionment is equal. The political class, that is us, we are high up at the ladder of blame, followed by the bureaucratic class, the business elite, and all whatnot. That is one. And secondly, we have NFIU, which is there. I don't know. We right now is subordinated to is domiciled by CBN. These also have to become independent, and the boards, the commissions of EFCC and ICPC will automatically become that board, while the director is elevated to Director General and given statutory powers. Then, going forward, you will notice that we've never demarcated the Director of Public Prosecutions away from the Attorney General's office, and that has tended to create a little bit of snag and lack of confidence. So, under my plan, the Director of Public Prosecution will be created will be transformed into a Directorate of Public Prosecution that will have no control by the Attorney General. And again, the membership of that directorate will be three persons elected by the Bar Association, 3 lawyers elected by the Bar Association, and 3 law professors elected by ASU. And then here again, the United Nations will make its nomination 3. Transparency International will also make a nomination in this board. So what you have is, first of all, for the first time, you're going to have an independent anti-corruption agency that has no control whatsoever from the political forces. And then going forward, the second plank of my plan is this massive information flow. In more liberal and developed democracies, information flow is at the beck and call of the citizens. But in Nigeria and in the developing countries where we need the information flow, we don't have it. People don't know, but particularly because of the high rates of illiteracy. So that you do not expect the Nigerian person who is illiterate to go out there going to apply for freedom of information license in order to get information. Information will now be made available so that every government expenditure whatsoever must be published, and in the minutest form, not by lump sum, so that if our president has breakfast, 2 days after, we should see it on the website of the villa, that this is what the breakfast costs. If the president travels and collects an allowance, a day after is published what allowance is collected. And this is going to go from the presidency to the local government area, all tiers, all arms. So that with the level of information flowing, just the fact that you know that whatever you do, you're going to publish, will cut the incidence of corruption by at least 30%.
Right. Senator, if I could come in here. So
I do not think that Yes, please.
I beg your pardon. I just want to say that we do have a Freedom of Information Act, which some might claim is barely worth the paper it's printed on because of the lack of political will to enforce these measures. Everything you have described now would require a huge paradigm shift. We all know that accusations of partisanship and, bias have dogged some organization like EFCC, for example, just one example, since the inception of the Nuhu Ribadu days, when he was basically accused of being an attack dog. Recently, an attack dog on behalf of the then President Olusegun Obasanjo. And recently, President Muhammadu Buhari made a really seemingly innocuous statement about how the EFCC should just do their work without partisanship and, without getting involved in personal disputes, which seems like perfectly good advice, but it was perceived in some quarters as an attempt by the president to muzzle the EFCC, if we're still, going with the dog analogy. What really needs to change here? You mentioned the NFIU, the Nigerian Financial Intelligence Unit. There was a report from an international organization, which they have actually rejected, I must state. But that report said that 18 billion naira has been laundered through our financial system in Nigeria by ISWAP. NFIU has actually claimed themselves to have identified 96 sponsors of terror in this country and hundreds of their associates. They've identified them but have not unmasked them. So there really is a lack of political will here. What do you think needs to change fundamentally before we get the results that we're looking for, before the measures that you're suggesting can even be implemented?
Yeah, so you see, your premise presupposes an appeal to the basic patriotism and morality of the Nigerian ruling class. This is what I'm taking off the table. We are going out with the notion that we are not patriotic. And this is not President this or President that. I'm talking about the nation, and it has been like that for a long time. So the law we have now will not be dependent on the whim and caprice of who is in power. As soon as that report comes out, it must be published by law. So by my plan, we're giving teeth, statutory teeth to this mandate to publish information. So under the freedom of information, you have to go through some processes in order to get the information. Under my plan, that is no longer there. The only thing, except where it concerns national security, if it's just the usual bread and butter issues of this is how much you spent, or that, everything must be published. It must be published. We are not appealing to any person's patriotism, not mine, and not yours. And then going on with the information flow. When we create the era, when you create this era of massive information flow, the next thing will be to aid the whistleblowers. Our whistleblower program is totally in its infancy. It's not been developed up to 2%. But if you realize, we already recovered about $140 million using that process. So imagine where we have a proper legal framework that gives vent and then gives the structures, lays down the foundation upon which we can thread. And this is what is going to happen. The National Assembly right now has a bill which they are considering. I don't think that bill has gone far enough because it does not anticipate this era of massive information flow. In the era of massive information flow, you're going to be dealing with more of unidentified, anonymous whistleblowers. That is in a situation where a person just goes out there, announces or reports without any fear of retaliation. And to make this work, under my plan, I've worked it out that the National Communication Commission will design and produce and mass produce SIM cards that will be untraceable and will be labeled EFCC and ICPC, that will be widely circulated and distributed. And the calls from those SIM cards will go automatically to the phone banks of ICPC or EFCC, as the case may be. All you need to do is just take out your phone, remove this untraceable SIM, take out the untraceable SIM card, remove your own and put it in, and you make that call, and it goes there, and you report whatever you report. Nobody knows what you have reported because this person has information. The New York. The Washington Post had this cliche that democracy dies in darkness. What we want to do is to engage, to have plural engagement of the people participating in the corruption fight. It's no longer yours, it's no longer mine. And I can assure you that if you had a situation where the EFCC Commission, or the ICPC Commission, the Code of Conduct Bureau, where you have this mix of personnel, those elected by ex officio and those nominated by United Nations, I can tell you that independence will be assured. going forward from the massive information flow and aiding the whistleblowers, we have to do something to accelerate corruption matters. You know, under the Administration of Criminal Justice Act, the criminal matters will now have to proceed on day-to-day basis. That has not happened because of some challenges. First of all, you don't have enough judges. Secondly, you have the prosecutors working who have no independence, working most times with accused persons to frustrate the trials. So where we put money, under my plan, we're going to put some money to hire more judges and train them specifically for trying corruption matters and criminal matters. And then give them the practice direction that these corruption matters must go on day-to-day basis. And then you realize that also that there's so many appeals abandoned where the prosecution says, yes, we will appeal. You know, a weak ex parte order has been given, or interlocutory order has been given, or judgment that cannot stand its merit has been given. And once the prosecution comes out and just says, we're going to appeal, you never hear anything from that. So under my plan, we're going to have a statutorily extended time for appeal, so that if the accused person works and gets soft landing from the prosecutor, when the next government comes in, or whoever comes in after the current prosecutors, all the person needs just put an affidavit that say, well, the non-appeal here is because of bad faith. And then the statutorily are given the extension of time to appeal. And you realize that statute of limitation actually does not apply to criminal matters, and therefore it should not apply to appellate matters. Okay. And then there's this nonsense you and I hear all the time, that the MDAs do not remit their surpluses as
okay, I would like to ask you a question on that particular matter. If you can hear me, Senator Obiorah, I would like to ask you a particular question on that MDA. Recently, we had the Accountant General of the Federation come out to say that there were some loopholes in accounting, of MDAs. Nothing has been heard as regards that. Also, a couple of years ago, the ICPC did come out to investigate National Assembly members on various constituency projects, and they said some misappropriation happened. Nothing has been heard about that. Yes. Also, the whistleblower policy, we all saw how it worked. Yeah, you said they recovered some amount, but when it was time to pay those that really did do the work as regards blowing the whistle, literally, it became a huge problem. Settling them was a big problem, and because that has stalled, because of the fact that some whistleblower feel, I have nothing to gain in all of this. If I put out the information, I mean, nobody would do anything. People might do something about it, but to pay me is always a problem. And it looks as though to me that continuity is a big problem, because once Kemi Adeosun left, that whistleblower policy was like dead on arrival. And that's always the problem in terms of fighting corruption. And you even speak about speedy dispensation of justice as regards corrupt cases. Till today, you and I don't know what happened to the Magu case. The former EFCC chairman that was said, I said, okay, there were corruption charges against him. There was a justice, there was a salami panel set up against him. We heard nothing about it. All EFCC chiefs in this country are removed in a, what's the word now? Kamikaze style. And they all say they are corrupt. But we don't hear the end of those cases. So what are we dealing with here?
Okay, so we come back to the fundamental issue, which is independence. The reason why all these have happened, you've heard nothing about Magu, or you don't know where these matters start or where they end, or even the whistleblowers program are not being properly pursued. It's because of the fact that under the current regime we have, EFCC anti-corruption regime we have, there is no independence. And even if there were independence, you will not think there was independence because of certain partisan considerations. No, I'm not talking about you, Rufai. I'm talking about generally. So why do we need to check and fight over the veracity or otherwise as to whether they are independent or not? We just go out and create an independent one, and this is the plan I have. That plan is if you're going on to the commission of EFCC or ICPC or Code of Conduct Bureau or the Directorate of Public Prosecution, you are going in as an ex officio, and then you have United Nations backing you up with their own people. Let me tell you, we as a country right now are facing very, very deep fiscal challenges, and we need a lot of money. We need a lot of money, and we're not going to get help from the international community until they see that if they give us any help, that we're not going to steal it. And the only way to assure them is to make them part of the system. And that is why the United Nations will nominate exactly equal number of the Nigerian contingent. And those nominated by the United Nations will not be appearing in the Senate because they're not Nigerians. The Nigerians will go to the Senate for confirmation, but the United Nations the nominees are not going for Senate confirmation. So once we achieve this independence, every other thing will move on an even keel. And let me tell you, the plan I have will be starting from 2023 because you know the current administration now is winding up. But I believe that from 2023, when we put in place this plan I have to create independent structures that are reinvigorated with external participation, with our multilateral partners participating in nominating, we are going to have a process, an anti-corruption process that will be afraid. We should no longer be appealing to our patriotism or to our morality. We should be appealing to our fear of the fangs of anti-corruption fight. That's when you know that when they catch you, or that they're going to catch you, or that they're going to look in, or that information is going to come out, you're going to stop. I believe that if we faithfully implement this program, I'm not talking about if we like to do that or to do it well. I'm just saying, let us just put the independence in place. If we did that, then we are going to be saving the nation at least 6.5 trillion naira every year. And then we're going to get a lot of assist from our international development partners because they know that we're now serious.
Well, we would like to thank you very much, Senator Obiorah. But if you have a copy of the book there, can you just raise it so that we can see you holding the book? Yes, I think that would be nice.
Well, I ran out of the car.
Oh, okay.
I ran out of the car and I left the coupe. But I'm sure I'm going to be coming more on this program. You know, it is actually a privilege to be in this. Dr. Ruben Abati Rufai of the legendary the Tinubu the interview. Well, and then your other colleagues. I am very happy that you guys have received me today, and I look forward to coming and discussing these issues as they affect us as a nation. Once again, none of us is a saint. And we should no longer be appealing to our morality and our patriotism. We should be looking at the fangs of the anti-corruption agencies, the new ones we're going to set up in 2023.
Okay, thank you very much, Senator. Thank you very much. We look forward to seeing you again on the program.